It began with the bottom drawer of a filing cabinet. Lyman Frank Baum sat with his family in their Chicago home on May 7, 1898. As in many other occasions, he was entertaining the neighborhood children with a fairy tale about characters of his own creation. Suddenly, out of curiosity, a young girl interrupted. "Oh, please, Mr. Baum, but where do they live?" The soft-spoken storyteller glanced around the room. His eyes landed on the filing cabinet, the top drawer labeled A through N, and the bottom O through Z. And was born the marvelous land of Oz, a home for the Scarecrow, Dorothy, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, and all of the other outlandish creatures. In 1939, the creators of The Wizard of Oz broke through movie tradition with the colorful Land of Oz. Whether it's the casting of the characters, the new techniques used in filming, or the scenes left out in the bloopers, it is easy to see that The Wizard of Oz set the pace for movies of its time. The great cast of The Wizard of Oz did not just fall into place, it took many people to make it work. The role of Dorothy Gale from Kansas was tossed between the two leading ladies in the business at that time. Shirley Temple was the first choice of the studio owners. To accomplish this, they would loan Clark Gable and Jean Harlow for this small box office star. This fell through, however, with the unexpected death of Jean Harlow. Judy Garland was the next logical choice. She had been performing in vaudeville since the age of 5, and with the help of a corset, a little girl's dress, and braids in her hair, the fears of her being too old diminished. Her childlike face, large, searching eyes, and ability to burst into tears on cue, and her sweet voice make this role impossible to reproduce. Similar to the role of Dorothy, the role of the Tin Man was also altered. Originally, Jed Clampett was cast to be the Tin Man, known as Buddy Epson. But from metallic makeup poisoning, he was rushed to the iron lung and unable to perform. But Jack Haley came quickly to the rescue. He had developed a character in vaudeville that was unsure of itself in the 1920s. With a change in the makeup, he perfected the Tin Man we know and love today. The Scarecrow was an easy choice with Ray Bolger. He had a special dancing style that was loose and clumsy, so he was able to convince the audience he was made of straw. A sure-shot cast was The Lion, with Bert Lahr. He too was in vaudeville in the earlier days of his career, and he had a clear and unique speaking voice that was familiar to radio listeners across the nation. He was selected because of his crisp New York accent. But of all the Wizard of Oz cast, the last ones that are left to survive are the Munchkins. It took 124 little people to make Munchkinland. To do this, they hired Leo Singer's Midgets, a traveling group of, short people. With long daytime hours, uncomfortable costumes, and hot lights, they made Munchkinland the memory we have of it today. There were many techniques that were used for the first time in the filming of The Wizard of Oz. For the first time ever, they played with special effects. Could you imagine The Wizard of Oz without a tornado? To do this, they had a car with a lever on top like this, and there was a sock back and forth, and as the car would drive, the lever would move back and forth, creating a tornado. Or what about Glinda's glowing ball? This is simply a zoom in and a zoom out on a floodlight. They also used real materials for the costumes. They used real straw for the Scarecrow, painted leather for the Tin Man, and 2 real lion skins for the lion. Bert Lahr said it was a lot like acting in a mattress. While this movie may seem perfect on the outside, on the inside it is far from it. There are many bloopers that can be seen once brought to your attention. For example, Dorothy's hair, without proper time for it, is short and is long in the same frame. Also, when Glinda is introducing Dorothy to Munchkinland, she swings her wand around to nearly knock her crown off her head. If you listen carefully, you can even hear the clink. When Dorothy is scolding the Cowardly Lion, she slaps Bert Lahr in the face and almost breaks character with a laugh. If you look closely, she pulls Toto up to her face to cover it up. Many of the original tape scenes are not included in the final product of The Wizard of Oz. The most well-known left-out number is the song and dance number of the Jitterbug. It is done in the Haunted Forest, but the directors felt that it was too lighthearted for that part of the movie. This famous song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, was almost omitted. The directors felt it slowed the movie, and they had doubts about Judy Garland, their star, singing in a farmyard. The Wizard of Oz, an amazing movie when it came out in 1939, still amazes both young and old today. After reviewing the casting of the characters, the new introduction of new techniques, the scenes left out, and the bloopers, I think you can clearly see why it is such an impressive movie for its time. And to think, it all started with a filing cabinet labeled O through Z.